What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are your hosts, the Distorted Theorists. And today, myself and Peter were blessed enough to get out to Wicked, Wicadiator, whatever, that's what they're calling it. I went to see Wicked by myself. Peter went to see Gladiator 2 by himself so that we could do a two-part double review, if you will. So if you have, or after you've seen my video, go over and check out his Gladiator 2 reaction live up on our YouTube right now.
But wait,
what?
Before we start talking about it,
go ahead.
We've got some housekeeping to take care of. So if you are new to the channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button.
Please.
If you return to the channel, make sure you hit that share, like, and comment down below.
And that little bell thing.
Yeah, the bell. You ring the
Tells
bell.
you when we drop videos, if you're into that.
Yeah.
Wicked. Where do I start here?
So this is.
Where do I start here?
There was. I had this joke in the back of my head because I thought it would have been hilarious because like we don't know a ton about Wicked. I read the book back in the day. I knew the kind of sordid history and everything about like how the was going to be made. But I just had this thought in the back of my head that it would be hilarious that if you had come out of the theater and be like, "Did you know this was a musical?"
Oh no.
That would have been hilarious.
No, this is. Here's how I want to start, because I was thinking about this while I'm watching, okay? Let me just say one thing. Wicked gave me major respect for actors and actresses that act in musicals, okay? Now, I'm going to tell you why. I feel like it's one thing to go out and act for a movie, but I found myself watching Wicked and being like, because the way Wicked perceives itself when you're watching it is there's acting like, hello, good day, sir, and there's like, we're popular. Like, I'm like, how do you just go from speaking normal to going into full-on singing mode, then back to speaking, and there's just stuff moving all around you?
Just, I'm gonna blow your mind.
It's acting.
But there's that, and have you ever heard of something called the theater?
Yeah, I know, but it's just...
That's what they do.
I know, but and that's another thing, you know, I got to give props to Cynthia Erivo, I think, is the actress of the Wicked Witch, and then of course Ariana Grande as Glinda or Galinda, and then they changed anyway. But I found that interesting that those are not two cinematic spotlight people. Okay, one is the Broadway, is the musical lady, and then the other one's obviously Ariana Grande, who's a magician. So it's weird that
she's a magician,
musician, who. I find it funny that they both have leading roles, but neither are, and I want to quote this, actresses.
And then you've got Jeff Goldblum.
You just have to have
you know, Jeff Goldblum is maybe the perfect choice for an unhinged Wizard of Oz. Well, I mean, he's so... Jeff Goldblum, but no, narcissistic is what I was going to say. But Jeff Goldblum, I'm sorry, I don't mean you're narcissistic, but you do portray a very narcissistic character. Good job.
One of my favorite quotes by Jeff Goldblum has always been the one where he said, "I love it." Well, people come up to me on the last meeting and say, "Mr. Goldblum, what did you think of such and such?" And I look at them and said, "How dare you speak to me?" And he walks away. I think that's so funny.
But you know what? It just makes it feel like he fit that. Like it was a perfect choice. And I mean, he doesn't get much screen time. That's not really a spoiler. But
this is part one.
This is part one. Okay. Again, my background with the world of Oz, we'll say, comes from simply The Wizard of Oz, the movie. This one touches on the precursor to that, which was really cool because there's questions that you don't even know you have about The Wizard of Oz that this movie actually answers, and you're like, and man, I'm telling you now, listen. Well, yeah, but listen. The last musical that I probably paid attention to and watched in the film world was Willy Wonka.
No,
okay? I'm not talking about Joker. I'm talking about that I actually cared for was Willy Wonka, and I found myself comparing it to that, even though that movie was older. It was like the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the chaos, but the quirkiness of it, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's the Munchkins and the Oompa Loompa, like, you know, it's the
theater.
Again, it's the theatrics that made me compare and be like, wow, this is kind of cool. And even the singing, even though that's not my cup of tea, I took it as I wanted to sit there and watch it as a critic, and I feel like I done justice that way. So
it sounds like the reviews are pretty favorable for this because now it's nice to see that. You know, there was a Broadway musical, or at least, I don't know if it started on Broadway, I'm sure it did, and then became a film and was a success as opposed to Cats, Cats was huge
Yeah.
in the theater world, and then when it came out to now that's studio, that's directors, that's
Yeah.
the whole part. But you know, it is the back of people's minds are like, oh, it's not
I cannot fathom a world where anyone, and I mean, we did a reaction to Wicked. We had lots of comments in our comment section telling us about they've seen the musical multiple times. People all over the world were writing us, telling us we're going to enjoy this movie. And I cannot fathom a world where those people who've seen this musical will not like this movie. So that got to be said right away.
For sure.
It's fan service 100%, but just like I'm telling you now, you care about these characters. Musical or not, if that's not my jam, I don't care, because I was actually rooting for the Wicked Witch. I was wanting to know more about the history between her and Glinda. It's so much I want.
That's how the book works.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, you get that backstory, and maybe I love stories that double back on themselves. So maybe it's me knowing the future of where the story goes made me wonder more about why it happened. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about really the only negative is there were a couple times, I know it's a weird nitpick, there was a couple set pieces. I found myself watching the movie and I was like, that looks like a built stage. That looks like Styrofoam. Like, it was so weird. It was mostly in the beginning. Once it got its feet underneath it, I was like, oh, okay, now we're into the more fantastical world, we'll say. But like in the beginning, I was like, oh, that looks like cheap, like a stage. Like, I don't know. I found myself like, maybe it was because I was paying so much attention to the movie, trying to make sure my review was accurate. But that was really the only thing. I mean, like, through and through, acting was amazing. The music was the final climax number, which apparently I read after is one of the biggest, like, hurrahs of the musical itself.
Is that the one that's in the trailer?
It's a part of it's in the trailer, if I'm not mistaken.
I know which one it is.
Yeah, I was like, it did give me a little chills again. Even though it's not my complete cup of tea, I was like, this actress has passion right now on the screen for what she does. And it also made me think, sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but it's all coming to me now. I also feel that because Cynthia Erivo is the musical actress from the actual musical itself.
Oh, is she?
To my knowledge. I
thought it was
and they brought her onto the film, to be in the film. So I'm just picturing how, if that is true, and again, if my information is correct, I apologize if it's not, but if she is an actress in the theater, imagine doing what you do for a living, we'll say, and then it's made into this movie massive. Instead of just a stage, you now have a set. Like, I don't know, it just must be a very euphoric feeling, and I almost could see that coming through the theater screen, I guess, if that makes any sense.
What do you think?
So, I want to come at this two ways. As a critic, watching the movie for what it is and what it will be, 9.5 out of 10. Like, it was a good movie.
Like, is this your movie of the year?
For me, it is not a movie that I would, as I said off camera, it's not one that I would normally go to see. Like, on a general scale, I'd probably give it like a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Just for, like, I'm a big Marvel guy, you know what I mean? I'm not a musical guy. But if I take this movie, watch it in stride, and go, this is a movie, a musical, what is it, is almost perfect. And like I said, the only thing that maybe takes away points is that set piece thing that drew me out of my attention.
It's not your movie of the year, just from that set piece. Well, you heard it here, folks. The set ruined it for everybody.
No, go see it. I seen it in 3D, which I actually kind of like. I would have rather IMAX, but you had that in Gladiator too. But the 3D did give it a few, like, those like you said, those wide shots gave it the landscape a bit more depth to the singing, and I was like, oh, it's kind of cool. So maybe work yourself, go see it in 3D as well.
Gave the depth more.
But you definitely want to go check it out. And as we said, thank you so much for joining us for my review of Wicked. If you haven't already, up on the channel as well right now is Peter's review of Gladiator 2, because he just got out of that movie as well here at Cineplex in St. John's, Newfoundland. As always, if you want to support the channel, we do appreciate if you would just take a second to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and that other thing, the bell, the notification thing that tells you when our ugly mugs pop up on YouTube.
Well, one of our ugly mugs.
Yeah, well, that's me. And speaking of me, with that, I am the real Jussy.
I am Peter Parkour, like we always say around here.
Keep it real.